Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us here today. My name is Rahul Narayan. I'm a full-time MBA student here at Ross, at least for another couple of hours, and president of MBA Council, our student government. On behalf of the amazing graduating class of 2026, I am honored to welcome you all here this afternoon to the Michigan Ross Commencement Ceremony. Now, a few quick housekeeping points. Everyone, please take your seats. I see we're already doing that. We'll be starting the programming shortly. During the program, we'll be using all the aisles, so graduates, please stay seated as well. Unfortunately, guests are not allowed down here on the arena floor, so the hugs are going to have to wait. And after the ceremony, we'll request that guests head out pretty quickly, as we have another ceremony here later today. Graduates, you'll be released by ushers to the exit through the tunnel and meet your guests there. Now, I'd like to leave you all with a few final thoughts that I trust will resonate not just with my fellow full-time MBAs in the back over there, but also with every other program represented here today. For the several thousand of you in the audience who have not attended Ross, I will attempt to describe it. It is a crucible of professional, educational, and social moments where all of us, from different backgrounds, cultures, experiences, and even countries, are thrown together. Every day, walking the fine line between confused toddlers and seasoned professionals with expert intuition. I'd like to think most of us now feel closer to the latter, although honestly, I'm not too sure. I believe that every class has a defining characteristic. For ours, one word comes to mind: resilience. It's easy to come into Ross optimistic. I know I did. The world seems filled with potential, but quickly for some, that optimism may fade. Our time here has been tempered by unprecedented tumult that has impacted the reason most of us are here in the first place: to find a job, to start a career, to build a life. For some communities, for those with unorthodox backgrounds, and especially for students from outside the US, that impact has been exponentially larger. Yet, as a class, we persevered, we thrived, and I hope that we can continue to be optimistic. For just a brief moment, this place was our home, a mere blip in the journey that is each of our lives. Yet, the experiences and learnings that we have had here would fill the big house 10 times over. Some of us came here afraid to make mistakes, afraid to put ourselves out there for fear that we'd look silly or unqualified. That fear honestly feels pretty justified when our class includes doctors, nuclear engineers, military special operators, startup founders, and yes, even a Grammy nominee. But I hope it's clear by now that this community is what it is because of every single one of us. From here, our lives will change. We'll go from students to alumni, we'll leave Ann Arbor, we'll progress our careers. And our time at Ross, our overwhelming, stressful, too long, energizing, inspiring, too short time at Ross will soon feel like a distant memory. And yet, our time at Ross has helped shape and prepare us for everything that comes next. We are future mentors, founders, leaders. We are defined today by the choices we have made, the relationships we've nurtured, the community that we have built, and yes, the resilience that we have shown. This class will have an outsized impact on the world, I am sure of it. In fact, I don't think it's an exaggeration to say that this may be the best graduating class out there. And so, I'm proud. Proud to call us classmates, proud to call us a community, proud to call us friends. Whether we were the closest confidants or just shared some space in the winter garden, my life has forever been changed by every single one of you. And I hope that you all feel the same. Congratulations, and go Blue.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Sharon Matusik, the Dean here at the Ross School of Business, and it is my great honor to welcome you to the 2026 commencement of the Stephen M. Ross School of Business. Woo! Class of 2026, today we are here to celebrate you and recognize the tremendous achievements that brought you to this milestone moment, graduating from what we all know is the best business school in the world. Woo, round of applause. Please be seated. Today we come together as a community to celebrate our students. This graduating class includes first-generation college students, multi-generational U of M families, parents, veterans, and students from literally across the globe. You are future leaders who will have an important impact on your communities and the world, and are already shining examples of what it means to always be striving to be leaders and best. I'd like to start by extending a special welcome to all of the family members and friends of our graduates joining us from across the country and across the globe, as well as those joining us via live stream. At this point, I'd like to invite our graduates to look to where their families and friends are. Hopefully you know where they are. And please give them a big round of applause to thank them for all they've done to get you here. I also want to extend a very special welcome to Regent Carl Myers and Jenny Just, our keynote speaker. Thank you for joining us. And to our graduating students, today you join a global community defined not by borders, but a shared purpose to build a better world through business. At a moment when the world can feel divided by politics, by geography, by ideology, it's easy to underestimate the connective power of business. But I've seen this power close up. Just to give you one example. Years ago, I traveled to the Czech Republic before the Velvet Revolution. It was a deeply personal trip for me with my mother to the country my grandparents had left behind. At the time, it was a very different place. Few people were out and about, and there were few places to go. There was a sense of separation and isolation, not just from markets, but from the rest of the world. Recently, I returned, this time with my daughter, who is a college student, and the transformation was stunning. Some of you here might have gone to Prague for your junior year, in your junior year, and you raise your hands if any of Prague, yeah, look at that. So you know, the streets were vibrant, so many people were out and about. Everywhere you went, you could hear different languages being spoken. Endless cafes and restaurants, vibrant art scene, and an active business community from homegrown firms to international giants like Deloitte, Oracle, Microsoft, and Amazon. Ideas, talent, and capital were flowing in ways that were absolutely unimaginable when I first visited. What struck me most was not just the economic change, but the human one, the sense of connection and openness to a broader community. Now, that transformation certainly has many roots, political, cultural, social, but business has played a very meaningful role. It's created pathways for collaboration, for innovation, for people from different places to work together towards a shared goal. In other words, it helps open doors, literally and figuratively. That experience reinforced something I deeply believe. Business has long been one of the most effective forces for bringing people together. Not because it ignores differences, because it aims to leverage them. A supply chain can stretch across continents. A startup team collaborates across time zones. An investment brings together capital from one country and talent from another. These are not abstract ideas. These are things you're going to be experiencing. And when these dynamics are at play, something powerful happens. People who may not share a language, a culture, or a political system share a goal. That matters because progress comes from cooperation, often imperfect, often hard-won, but so important. Business at its best can be a kind of common language. It asks, what are we trying to build? What problems are we trying to solve? How do we create value together? These questions cut across differences. They invite innovation and creativity, and importantly, they create space for something that may feel increasingly rare: constructive engagement without requiring total agreement. That does not mean business is neutral in its impact. Far from it. The choices you will make shape communities, economies, and lives. But business can be, and often is, a platform where people come together not to debate their differences, but to do something meaningful with them. Global challenges, from technology disruption to human health to climate, do not respect borders. They demand coordination, creativity, and persistence. This is built not on grand speeches, but in the day-to-day work of delivering on a promise, meeting a deadline, honoring a contract, building something that works. Those are the building blocks. So as you go forward, I would offer you a simple challenge. See business not only as a path for your own professional and personal success, but as a mechanism for connection and collaboration. Ask yourself not only what value am I creating, but also who am I bringing together in this process? Because the teams you build, the colleagues and friends you make, and the markets you enter can bridge divides. They can create shared stakes and shared outcomes. And in so doing, they can contribute quietly but meaningfully to a more connected, peaceful, and productive world. I've seen what those kinds of connections can do across generations, across borders, and across time. And now it's your chance to build those bridges. On behalf of all of us in the Michigan Ross community, our most heartfelt congratulations to each of you on earning your degree. We are so incredibly proud that you're going to be representing us in the world and so optimistic about that shared future that you're going to build. Big round of applause for our graduating students. Next in our program, you will hear from two graduating students chosen by their peers to speak. We'll first hear from Jiya Sheth, followed by Pavitra Sudhakar. Please join me in welcoming Jiya.
Michigan Ross, class of 2026. Here we are. For those of you who I haven't met yet, my name is Jiya Sheth. I'm a BBA, honored to graduate alongside all of you today, and deeply grateful for this moment to share something that I hope will resonate with all of us. But I need to start with a confession first. Ready? I am an overpacker. I've almost always been. Extra pants, just in case I don't vibe with the first pair. A curler, just in case I change my mind about my pin-straight hair. My laptop, just in case I decide to be the type of person who does classwork on a 3-day spring break trip. In fact, I've got a camera roll full of pictures that I still haven't looked back at yet, just in case one day I decide that I need to see my self-made Markley Dining Hall pizza from 5 different angles. And honestly, overpacking isn't a bad thing. There are moments when I'm immensely grateful for it, moments when I do use the curler, or when someone else uses something that I packed just in case. And truthfully, overpacking comes from care, from anticipation, from wanting to be ready. And one may even argue that is a very Ross trait. Each one of us here, we came prepared. We showed up early. And in fact, we carried more than what we were needing to. Part-time jobs, startups, clubs, leadership roles, relationships, and so much more. And yet somehow, looking back at all the moments with overpacked bags, my best memories come from the ones in which I underpacked. From the trips in which I forgot something and I figured it out. From mismatched outfits, from borrowing a jacket, a charger, a vacuum, from leaning on the people around me and trusting that I'll be okay, because I almost always was. And I guess Ross taught us that. with the tight budgets, the shared groceries, the shared stress, we slowly began to realize that we didn't have to carry everything ourselves because we had each other. And when things felt like they were falling apart, the people around us helped find another way, which is maybe why early this morning, as I was grappling with the concept of becoming an alumni the moment we move our tassel from one side to the other, a very philosophically inclined friend told me that, Jiya, sometimes you just gotta bite off more than you can chew and figure out how to chew it later. And that stuck with me. Not because it's about being reckless, but because it's about trusting ourselves. Trusting that when we muster the courage and we take the leap, things will find their place. It feels like yesterday, actually, that my sister was pushing down the big blue brins across Markley's 4th floor hallway, and my mummy wiping down every piece of surface that she can find in my dorm, and my papa lofting up my bed and sending me off to start the first solo adventure of my life. And today, we are all repacking those bags to see where the next one takes us. Our apartments are cleared out, dorm rooms are emptied, mattress toppers stowed away somewhere, and I hope Target furniture is listed on Facebook Marketplace because we are business students, after all. But this time, the packing feels a little different, and I'll tell you a little secret. None of us will have packed the perfect bag, because when we leave here, there is no syllabus, no rubric, no Ross curve telling us where we stand. And frankly, we're stepping into a world with a lot going on. A world that doesn't come with a problem set or a case to prepare for. A world that will give us ambiguity and call it an opportunity. And this is where overpacking gets tricky, because it is so easy to overpack our lives too, with the fear, with the just in case, with the quiet need to prove to someone else a little bit more. But maybe this next chapter isn't about carrying everything forward. Maybe it's about packing just enough. Enough discipline to show up, enough courage to take the leap, enough humility to lift others as we climb, but most of all, enough trust in ourselves and in each other to figure it all out. Because none of this happened alone. Our families, our loved ones, they carried us before we ever carried ourselves. Our professors, advisors, and faculty, they challenged us and believed in us, sometimes fully before we believed in ourselves. This village of people, they didn't just prepare us for careers, they prepared us for this moment. So graduates, take a moment to look around this room and find your people, as I take just a moment for mine. Mummy, Papa, and Hitu, everything I am and everything I will ever be is a reflection of the values you've instilled in me. I could not thank you enough for being my biggest strength and inspiration. And to my BBA friends, who've become family in just 4 short years, thank you for creating the memories with me that I'll one day take and share with my kids when I talk about my college days. So, as we all stand here with the brightest of smiles and the heaviest of hearts, let's remember just one thing. We don't need to overpack our lives with anxiety or any fear of the unknown or a need for validation. We've already done enough. We are enough. From here on out, there are no grades waiting at the end, just choices. So, Michigan Ross, my fellow Wolverines of the class of 2026, here we are, packed just enough and ready to figure it out. Go Blue.
Good afternoon, distinguished faculty, respected staff, proud families and friends, and most importantly, the graduating class of 2026. My name is Pavitra Sudhakar, and I'm a Master of Management student at the Ross School of Business. Standing here on this very special day, I think it's safe to say that none of us really knew how things were going to play out when we first joined the school. We came in with our goals, aspirations, our color-coded calendars, and honestly, those plans worked out about as well as our final finance exam. MMs, if you know, you know. Nothing went exactly to plan. And somehow that became the plan. My dad always says, don't have expectations, just accept the things that come your way, then you won't be disappointed. When I joined Ross, I tried to listen to his advice. For once in my life. Love you, Nana, love you, Mom. Focusing less on the destination and more on the journey. But even if I had expectations, this community and this experience would have exceeded every single one of them. From electric football games that made Saturdays feel sacred, to late study nights at Ross that somehow turned into therapy sessions, and to unforgettable shows by our very own Ross rock band, Risky Business, which I am very proud to be a part of. This place taught me that some of the most important learning happens outside the syllabus. I have learned so much from my peers. Yes, the classes mattered. Yes, the exams mattered, even the ones that made us question every life decision. But just as important were the conversations after class, the shared panic before deadlines, the laughter when something went very wrong, and the quiet moments when someone simply said, I feel that too. These are the memories I will carry with me long after today. We have made lifelong friends. Or should I say in business school, that's networking, baby. We carry with us powerful skills, confidence, and ideas shaped in these classrooms. And for that, we owe immense gratitude to the world-renowned faculty, the same professors whose classes we hoped, prayed, and refreshed will. Many of us walked into the Winter Garden for the first time, wondering if we truly belonged or if we were ready. And yet, here we are today, degrees in hand, having made it through something that was absolutely not a cakewalk. And maybe that is the real lesson. Life does not suddenly become more certain after graduation. If anything, this is just the beginning. The anxiety of trying something new, the excitement of possibility, the ups and downs that come with choosing growth over comfort. What Ross taught us is not that we will never fall, but that every time we do, we know how to get back up. Because winning doesn't feel meaningful unless you have stumbled a little first, right? And at a school known for its work hard, play hard mentality, we can all now relate to Pitbull, who once said, believe me, been there, done that. People who know me well know that I am a chronic overthinker. And the uncertainty of leaving a place that finally felt like home can be terrifying. But what gives me peace is knowing this. The growth we experienced here is attainable again. The friendships, the community, the sense of becoming. Wherever we go next, we now know how to build that again. And the amazing thing about Ross is when we leave, we don't actually leave. Because once you're a Wolverine, you're always a Wolverine. So, to my fellow graduating students, the world is ready for your creativity, your leadership, and your willingness to ask better questions. As we step into whatever comes next, let us remember that we do not need to have it all figured out. We have already proven that we can show up, learn, and grow even when we are unsure. And that, to me, feels like the best possible preparation for the rest of our lives. Congratulations to the class of 2026. We did it. Go Blue.
Thank you both for those great comments. Really appreciated the themes, especially around community and how it helps us to be our best selves no matter what comes our way. Next, we're going to recognize several award recipients, beginning with the recipients of the 2026 NERI Teaching Excellence Awards, who are with us on the platform today. These awards are voted on by students of each program and recognize faculty who have gone above and beyond in working with students. We're grateful for the support of these awards provided by the late Bob Neary, a BBA graduate, and his wife, Janet. I'm going to ask each recipient on the stage to stand when I call your name. Mike Barger for the Weekend MBA program. John Branch for the Masters of Business Analytics. Justin Frake for the PhD program. Chang Gao for the full-time MBA program. And Greg Miller for the online MBA program. I love that they all have their own cheering section. That's fantastic. I'd also like to acknowledge the teaching award winners who could not join us in person today. Brad Kalali for the Executive MBA, Jim D. Sinclair for the Masters of Accounting program. All right. Ali Hojat for the Masters of Supply Chain Management. Lori Regala for the BBA program. And Debjeet Roy for the Masters of Management program. One more big round of applause for everyone. Next, I'd like to acknowledge the recipients of the 2026 Student Awards who are sitting with their respective groups on the arena floor. All of these student award winners were chosen by their peers. When I call your name, please stand to be recognized. And I'm going to ask that you please hold your applause until all student award winners have been recognized. The Frank S. Moran Distinguished Leadership Awardees, Javesh Dandaniak and Felipe Saab Furtado. I knew you guys wouldn't hold your applause. All right, we'll dispense with that. The Global Citizenship Award winners, Safiq Issa and Peter Parla Greco. And last, the recipients of the Michigan Ross Outstanding Leadership Awards from the Sanger Center, Grace Agubi, Rita Al-Wisha, Mia Hodges, Stanley Keith, and Drishti Narang, and last but not least, Ashley O'Brien. Congratulations to all the award winners, and thank you for all that you've done to make Ross such a special place. At this point, I also want to share a special acknowledgement of one of our faculty. Kathy Shakespeare started as a faculty member here in 2001. She's made tremendous contributions to our Ross community through her research, teaching, and many leadership roles over the years, including serving as Associate Dean for our undergrad programs over the past 3 years. I've heard from many of you graduating BBAs what an impact Kathy has had on you during your time here. So it's bittersweet for me to share that Kathy is officially retiring from U of M at the end of the day today to take a prestigious position with the Financial Accounting Standards Board, FASB. So would you please join me in a big thank you round of applause for all that Kathy's done here? I'm trying to make her feel emotional. And now we begin conferring degrees with the recognition of the hooding of our doctoral graduates and candidates. Not only are these PhD candidates graduating today, but we are welcoming them into the Academy, our global community of researchers and faculty members. What they have achieved is incredibly challenging. Not only have they mastered complex concepts and difficult modeling techniques, but they're pushing the boundaries of what we know. Knowledge discovery through research is critical in helping us understand the complex world we live in and make the future better. It requires not only an impressive intellect, but great persistence, resilience, and an intellectual curiosity that few have. These individuals will play a critical role in shaping all of our futures as their roles as business educators and scholars. To recognize these graduates, I'd like to invite Roman Kapuczynski, our Senior Associate Dean for Faculty and Research, to the podium.
Well, as a Senior Associate Dean for Faculty and Research, it's my big privilege to recognize PhD students graduating this year. This is a very untypical group of students among our graduates because we only have, the size of this group is only 12, 15 students per year, and they stay longer in school than many of you. Not like 1 year degree for 1 year, MBAs for 2 years, BBA for 4 years. These students are 5 years, sometimes 6, sometimes 7, so this is a long path. During the time that they're here, they study, they teach. Some of you actually might have them as teachers in undergraduate classes, but their primary objective is to do research. And Ross is a powerhouse in research with an amazing worldwide reputation. So these students, while they are here at Ross, they are trained to be researchers, but it goes much farther. They actually are co-creating the impressive pieces of work, and they help us as Ross to shine already by working with their advisors. After graduation, they become faculty in other universities. And when they go to other universities, they demonstrate and cultivate greatness of Ross research. So in a moment, we'll be recognizing them in a hooding ceremony. Hooding is, let me tell you a few words about hooding. Hooding is actually originated a long time ago in Europe in 12th century, and popes, kings, emperors authorized universities to confer doctoral hoods. So the moment you had a hood, you actually could show up in King's Court, maybe in a town, in a village, and effectively you were recognized as a master teacher. And there was even Latin word for that, and that Latin word meant the right to teach anywhere. So we will be performing this hooding, and the hooding itself will be a recognition that these students satisfied the requirements of PhD program, but we will be asking actually PhD advisors to join us on stage. And the second dimension of that is that the meaning of hooding is actually that these students transfer from being students to being faculty, colleagues, fellows that will be working on that research. So in a moment we'll be doing that one by one. This thesis, the work that they did is impressive, and you will hear from the titles that the titles of the work that they work on sounds equally impressive. But let me start with congratulating all PhD students. Makina Bailey, accounting, the effect of adult partner prior record on post-retirement board opportunities. Congratulations. Heather Graham, accounting, regular vacancies, and enforcement behavior. Congratulations. Angie Pay, accounting, corporate patent transfers to tax havens. Congratulations. Natasha Borejko, finance, 3 essays on financial intermediation and real outcomes. Congratulations. Christina Bradley, management and organizations, talking about emotions across ranks, how, when, and why it improves team performance. Congratulations. Sukanya Roy, management and organizations, investor-state disputes, and the legal environment for sustainable development. Congratulations. Yichi Lee, marketing, essays on nutrition labeling and consumer decision-making. Congratulations. Yusong, marketing, personalization, pricing, and experimentation on digital platforms. Congratulations. Brenda Myung, strategy, a theory of deperformativization, understanding how society influences the evaluation of performance. Congratulations. Hangshan Cho, technology and operations, unveiling levers that drive firm operational performance. Congratulations. Yuan Hu, technology and operations, designing sustainable and trustworthy markets, models of restaurants, operations, and platform information sharing. Congratulations. Once more, congratulations to all future master teachers that go and spread the gospel of Ross around the world.
Next in our program, you will hear from our third graduating speaker, Corey Finny. Please join me in welcoming Corey.
Thank you, and congratulations to the class of 2026. For a bit of context, I'm an online MBA student, which means that much of my Michigan Ross experience occurred virtually. And this is essentially how an online MBA worked. There was a professor explaining something like discounted cash flows, while my wife was frantically whispering, negotiating, and occasionally making empty threats to keep our children quiet. But if you think about it, my wife's heroic efforts actually highlighted many MBA concepts, such as stakeholder management, incentive design, and most notably, the dangers of non-credible threats. I think it is very safe to say that our children discovered quickly that bargaining power was not evenly distributed. To be fair, the virtual classroom had its drawbacks, but Zoom meetings were also part of my favorite Ross memories. I had a professor who periodically used a potato filter during the asynchronous lecture videos. Yes, an actual potato. It kept things light, spurred conversation, and reminded us not to take ourselves too seriously. But do not let that lightheartedness fool you. He was deeply committed to his students. In fact, he met with me, virtually, one Wednesday afternoon, the day before Thanksgiving. Because of my last-minute request, he took the Zoom call from his couch, presumably with his family in the other room, as I peppered him with questions about the intricacies of pension accounting. In hindsight, he probably had better things to do that day, but his generosity and professionalism did not make it feel that way at the time. This unique combination of humor and authentic commitment says a lot about the professors at Ross. Whether you were in Ann Arbor or connecting virtually from across the globe, our professors challenged us, supported us, and reminded us that performance and compassion are not mutually exclusive. Another professor captured that ethos perfectly. At Ross, some professors are known by last names. Others are known simply by their first name, like Madonna or Elvis, or, in our case, Venky. Behind Venky's eccentric personality is an enormous amount of wisdom. He reminded us that every organization must deliver performance, but how the organization delivers that performance matters. He emphasized that leadership means using numbers not just to find the right answer or the exact formula, but to serve people. The best leaders are willing to absorb uncertainty themselves so that their teams can have clarity about roles, motives, and expectations. This balance is difficult, but it is possible, as Venky stated succinctly, because Ross students are good at numbers and they care about others. That lesson remains particularly relevant today. We are graduating into a world where volatility, rapid technological change, and uncertainty are the standard. Truth is often controlled by the people with the loudest voice. Information is ubiquitous. The norm is to chase certainty, optimize spreadsheets, and find the perfect formula. We learned something better at Ross. Leaders should use numbers in the service of others. Leadership is about creating a structured work environment for your team by managing uncertainty, thereby encouraging collaboration and improving organizational outcomes. Whether you're leading a startup, managing a bank, or building a healthcare system, the world doesn't just need smarter managers. It needs leaders who care about people and are good with numbers, and who know how to connect the two. The truth is, these lessons did not take place in isolation. They were shaped by the people who supported us along the way. To our families, thank you for the sacrifices, the patience, and for keeping things quiet, or at least trying. To our professors, thank you for the rigor, the humor, and for showing up, even before Thanksgiving. And to my fellow graduates, congratulations. We didn't just earn a degree from Michigan, we learned how to lead with data and with an understanding of how our decisions impact others. Go Blue.
It is now my great pleasure to introduce our keynote speaker. When I considered who to invite to be our keynote commencement speaker, I looked for someone who is a role model for the type of leaders we're trying to aspire to at Ross. A person who not only has a successful career, but who also continues to make a positive and profound impact on the world and society at large. We're so fortunate that Jiya Sheth, a proud Michigan Ross 1990 BBA alumni, is joining us this afternoon to celebrate this milestone. She is the co-founder and managing partner of Pig Six Investments, a proprietary options trading firm which has grown into a multi-billion-dollar financial services and technology giant. From her days on the trading floor in Chicago to now running a fintech empire, Jiya has proven herself to be a visionary entrepreneur, investor, business leader, and industry disruptor. For nearly 3 decades, she has founded, scaled, and led businesses across proprietary trading, fintech, insurance, esports, financial education, and she happens to be passionate about poker. Yes, you heard it right. Along with her daughter Juliet, she founded an initiative in 2020 which uses poker as a tool to build essential strategic thinking, calculated risk-taking, and decision-making skills. She's truly an inspiration to all who meet her and one of the most accomplished people I know. Please join me in giving Jiya a warm Michigan welcome.
Thank you, Sharon, and congratulations, class of 2026. And a special heartfelt congratulations to our close friends, Alexis and Shana, and their families. This morning, I was reading these headlines. Oil prices soar, threatening the economy. Uncertainty grows. US deficit surges to record levels. Rapid technological development will displace millions of workers. So gas prices are high, our best times are behind us, and there are no jobs in the future. Now, the interesting thing is those headlines are from 1990, when I sat in your same seat as a Ross graduate. 36 years later, and yet the future outlook you're facing is almost the same as mine was. So how did I feel? Thrilled at the prospect of being done with homework forever, for sure. Sad to be leaving my friends in Ann Arbor. Scared to be entering the real world. And most of all, a little hungover from celebrating too much. So how did a regular girl from Wisconsin go from sitting in that seat to building and running a multi-billion-dollar organization from scratch? Let me tell you, there was not a plan. Like many of you, my mind was on landing a job. I interviewed at 3 places: a bank, an advertising firm, and an options trading firm. Like many of you, I ultimately decided on something I wasn't so sure I was good at. I had no idea what options were. But I decided on the options trading firm for 2 very important reasons. One, the dress code was casual, which was a really new thing back then. And 2, they had Haagen-Dazs and beer in the fridge, so I was in. That was my plan, I was sticking to it. Truly, I had no plan. On my first day, I learned I was going to the Chicago Board Options Exchange trading floor. Already, this was not turning out to be the desk job I thought I signed up for. There's a big difference between the quiet office where I'd interviewed and the trading floor full of thousands of people screaming and yelling for 7 straight hours. But despite the chaos, that first year on the trading floor, it's still one of the best years of my working career. It was like a sporting event every single day. And looking back, I can see clearly what I did and didn't do that I'm certain helped me get to where I am today. I started by learning a tangible skill. In my case, options trading. More specifically, I learned how to take calculated risk, albeit with someone else's money. What I didn't do was worry about some grand plan or how to become a billionaire. I started building scaffolding. And as I went from the trading floor to the trading desk, I started to gain more perspective of how the portfolio was built and how the different parts of the organization worked. And when I finally thought I was mastering the trade desk, 2 years in, life threw a curveball. The great Chicago flood happened. All of the Chicago financial district closed down. Trading stopped. Our company didn't have backup systems at the time, and everything in the computers now had to be recreated on paper, every single position written by hand. While many people I work with dispersed to our other offices, I stayed with a group in Chicago and was fortuitously placed alongside a famous pioneer in options trading who headed our equity option division, Clay Struve. I spent countless late nights stuck in a building with Clay and other men. My mother, thank God, she didn't know. But I grinded it out. And after the crisis was done, I was offered a job in a new division. It was called Global Risk Management. Clearly, our leader thought I had potential, but I really had no idea what the job was about. It turned out to be the worst job of my career. It took me a while to understand this as a new professional, but this is going to happen. You will have not very good bosses, and you will do work that feels totally misdirected. This was mine, and I felt like it was a massive waste of time. But I stuck it out, and fortunately, soon after, our company was doing a joint venture with a bank. And I was asked, along with my future co-founder, Matt, to build a business within the company. We became intrapreneurs, creating a new division, equity options, but basically bulk trading off the exchange floor. The no plan was working because the no plan is not about being aimless. It is about being the hardest worker in the room, It's about being curious and being determined to grow and move forward regardless of what the world throws at you. I worked in 5 different jobs at the same company in 7 years, and I still had no plan. And certainly no plan to start a business, but I was building skill. And today I can look back at how important each of those jobs was to the totality of my scaffolding, how all those experiences were compounding on each other, like compound interest. You're from Ross, you know what it means. The exponential growth you get when your interest earns interest. It's the same thing in your professional career. Getting critical experiences, even if they aren't perfect, maybe especially if they aren't perfect. Compounding on each other early. It adds up. Your growth accelerates. 7 years after Michigan, our company was sold to the bank we partnered with, and they were relocating, and I didn't want to move. My co-founder, Matt, and I said, well, we could just do what we've been doing again, but for ourselves, which was quite naive. We had 7 years of work experience, we had some savings. Were we ready? Absolutely not. But now, here's the time. We thought we had a plan. We're going to partner with another bank and recreate what we have been doing, go from being intrapreneurs to entrepreneurs. We called ourselves Peak 6 and created our very first plan. It was called Plan A. It's been almost 30 years, and we've never executed on that plan. We did try for like 18 months, but we had to survive. So we needed a backup plan, and we started running Plan B at almost the same time. Plan B was a proprietary trading firm. We raised $1.6 million, and by July of 1997, we were up and running. In August, we almost went out of business, but in October, we got lucky, and we made our first $1 million. It felt like our ship had come in. So when we started trading, it was really more of an individual sport. Each person, they're mostly master of their own domain, and in many ways, it's still like that today. We were almost a year into our business when we went to Wendy's for lunch. Yes, Wendy's, the hamburger place. As we waited for our food, I noticed how Wendy's divided the labor. There was one person taking the order, a screen routing the information, one person dedicated solely to the fries and the burgers, and of course the Frosties. It was a model of efficiency and simplicity. I said to Matt, why do we have to build something like everyone else? Why don't we make trading more of a team sport? Why don't we just copy Wendy's? So we put traders onto teams and built technology to coordinate everyone. We now acted as a single entity rather than a collection of individuals. And as much as the traders hated being the fry guy at first, the idea of working as a team allowed us to take smarter, better risks faster than everyone else. We had invented a new paradigm for trading. That one decision, which came from a Wendy's meal, has generated over $4 billion in profits. And it's not uncommon for the best trading firms in the world to have losing years. In 29 years, we have never had a losing year. I did that. That hungover person graduating from Ross. I didn't have a grand plan. I didn't have a map. It's more like I had a compass. You have a compass too. It's not unique to me. I know that because I was you. Paying attention to the compass is the trick. So the Peak 6 business model emerged, and it seemed both replicable and scalable. And taking big risks, it's natural for some people, not most, definitely not for me, but I was forced to practice, and eventually I learned to love it. In trading, taking big risks often leads to big failures, of course, but we were pretty good at our experimental losses on the small, keeping our experimental losses on the small side, until we weren't. We had some ridiculous fails. And these are true. We were invested in an oil field, a Ferris wheel, a chicken cleaning business. You can't even make that up. And the most epic fail, it was 2008. Electric cars had just started gaining traction. We knew we needed to invest. Now, we're traders, we're not investors, but we knew we needed to invest. We set up 2 meetings, one with this eccentric guy from PayPal, The other, and by the way, he sort of sounded stoned on the call. The other was with a well-spoken, buttoned-up German engineer who had previously run BMW. And if you can't guess, we invested in the second one. It's called Fisker. Unfortunately for us, we found out after the fact that when it rained, the cars would catch on fire and explode. I went to Michigan Business School, so I know blowing up your customers tends to be bad business. Oh, and that first company that we passed on, yeah, that's Tesla. We had gotten off track. Were we too big for our britches, thinking we could succeed at any new opportunity just because we had succeeded once? We clearly had some bad judgment. Maybe we misplaced a compass. Maybe we just didn't even read it. While we should have course corrected sooner, our losses taught us two things. Sometimes you have to bet against the odds. And sometimes the best business people may not actually look or sound like how you think the best business people are supposed to look and sound. So now our compass was pointing at this new thing called fintech. Fortunately, this time we read it. In 2012, we were 7 years into the third real company we started and self-funded, a brokerage firm. We used an outside custodian for part of our technology stack, and they called us on a Friday and asked if we could lend them some money, just for a short time. A custodian is a place that holds the cash and securities. It's kind of like a vault. So this is akin to your bank calling and asking if you'd lend them money. Ross students, if your bank calls you and asks you to lend them money, I hope I don't have to tell you not to do that. On Monday, 3 days later, the Securities Exchange Commission, the SEC, the regulatory body, called us, told us there was fraud at the custodian and not enough capital. They wanted us to put in $70 million by Friday and take over that custodian. If we didn't, our brokerage firm and a whole bunch of similar brokerage firms, which hold all kinds of people's money, would go under. Okay, $70 million, announced fraud, 4 days. Yes, it's as crazy as it sounds. Our self-funded brokerage was at risk, though. Sometimes you bet against the odds. Well, 13 days later, we owned it. That business became Apex FinTech Solutions, and we are now the back end, again, meaning we hold the data and the securities and build and operate the technology for over 220 companies that sit on our platform. Everyone from SoFi and Ally to Public, Stash, and Webull. We serve more than 40 million end customers. And if any of you invest online, you likely use our tech. So in the early days of really rebuilding that technology to get to that platform, we started taking customer calls. In 2013, we met a couple of young men in Palo Alto in a strip mall. One came in on a skateboard. They wanted to create a new broker. They had an idea about giving coupons to shareholders as a way to make money. But when they showed us the app they were building, that's where the real brilliance was. It was elegant in its simplicity, like Wendy's. They had no real idea what they were doing. They needed our tech, but they had no money to pay us to support them. They were definitely executing the no-plan plan. After the Tesla fiasco, we knew it was time to start embracing the eccentric founder-CEO type. We agreed to build the entire back end in exchange for equity. That company became Robinhood. I bet you didn't think I was going to say that. Why did we invest in Apex with announced fraud? Why did we build the back end for Robinhood for some future payment? Those are risky propositions. There's only one thing I know that allowed us to do it. Practice. All of the trades, all of the business decisions, good and terrible, successes and failures leading up to that day gave us the confidence to do that. We were able to trust the needle was pointing the right way, even when we couldn't see the destination. We built the muscle over time, methodically and not so methodically, following our compass, but not a plan. This is about having ideas, but not all the answers. So if you don't have a plan today, know that it's okay. And for those of you who do have a plan, trust, it will change as your experiences compound over time, which means you're exactly where you ought to be. Rather than being afraid of what the headlines might mean for your future, this is your moment to get started writing your own. Are things today for you like they were for me in 1990? They're similar. But in terms of opportunity, I know today things are better. High oil prices? Okay, well, we might have to come up with some alternatives. AI, if you use it, you will be a change maker. You'll figure it out. Look, things could be a lot worse. You could have gone to Ohio State. Thank you, class of 2026, and go blue!
I love her stories. So much about knowing when to act on opportunities that come your way. Before continuing with the conferral of degrees, I want to take a minute to share with you who makes up our extraordinary graduating class. Today, we have 1,589 students graduating from Michigan Ross. This includes 13 doctoral students, 650 MBAs, 39 of whom are getting dual degrees, 310 students from our one-year master's programs, including 84 in accounting, 51 in business analytics, 109 in Masters of Management, and 66 in supply chain management. And, woo, all right, great. And 629 BBA students, 52 who are getting a dual degree. Super, super impressive set of students graduating. Earlier today, we hosted the induction ceremony for Beta Gamma Sigma, the International Honor Society for Business Students. Beta Gamma Sigma honors are awarded to the top 10% of graduating BBA students and the top 20% of graduating master's students. Will those Beta Gamma Sigma honorees who are with us please stand to be recognized? Amazing, amazing job, amazing job. We now move on to the conferral of the master's and undergraduate degrees. I have the honor on behalf of the Stephen M. Ross School of Business at the University of Michigan to present the candidates for Masters of Business Administration, Masters of Accounting, Masters of Business Analytics, Masters of Management, Masters of Supply Chain Management, and Bachelors of Business Administration. I invite Regent Myers to the podium to officially recognize the candidates.
Thank you, Dean. I'd like to start by thanking all of you for the honor and privilege of sharing this momentous day with you and your families. What you've accomplished to arrive at this day and at this moment is an achievement worth remembering and celebrating. Well done, class of 2026 of the Stephen M. Ross School of Business. We are all very proud of you. Now, since this is the Ross Business School graduation, we have a little business at hand to take care of. On behalf of the Board of Regents of the University of Michigan, I am pleased to recognize these candidates. These degrees will be conferred upon recommendation of the faculty of the Stephen M. Ross School of Business at the University of Michigan. Thank you, and go blue forever.
Graduates, please stand. Come on, stand up, stand up. I now invite all of you to switch your tassels from right to left. Woo! This makes it official. All right, you may be seated. The recognition portion of the ceremony will now begin. Ushers, please assist the candidates to the platform so that we can individually recognize each and every student who is graduating. I invite the Associate Deans to join us when their graduates cross the stage. And I now invite the student speakers to lead the candidates across the platform.
Corey Finny.
Pavitra Sudhakar.
Jiya Sheth. Ridha El Washa.
Shivasankar Damodaran.
Suba Ramachandran.
Kavya Narayan Gowda.
Tom Bogan.
Andrew Leje.
Eduardo Cantu.
Carlos Carreno.
Chaitali Kadam.
Pranav Pavitran.
Krishna Gutta.
Kishore.
Sanket Kulkarni.
Kaushal Joshi.
Cameron Danyo.
Shreyas Kulkarni.
Suvrat Jain.
Thomas Rar.
Andrea Traskis.
Trey Mortensen.
Luca Pipabello.
Kevin Hurley.
Michael Crabtree.
Rachel Phillips.
Susan Mostofidaza.
Sean Keelosi.
Claire Wardell.
McKenna Whedon.
Julie Kessler.
Caitlin Kosinski.
Peter Lucido III.
Patrick McGrath.
MJ Jalada.
Adam Burrow.
Jasmahan Singh Bawa.
Jacob Hood.
Meghna Jain.
Kristana Chusky.
Yangfan Shu.
Sarah Kaleski.
Anna Hakim.
Polly John.
Buddha Konar.
Eugene May.
Anirudh Sharma.
John Daniel.
Ali Ikram.
Bruno Pinto.
Ahmed Haq.
Sarah Idris.
Amber Shimanek.
Molly Steinman.
Karan Marwa.
Mariam Hussein.
Jason Deng.
Ariana Duraku.
Reese Marsh.
Gayam Simon.
Michael Miller.
Jenna Rogers.
Joao Kaspari.
Cameron Kramer.
Talal Ikram.
Francis Lefebvre.
Joseph Felice.
Haiwa Nu.
Umith Gupta.
Brandon Hyde.
Jonathan Brokaw.
Ame Parab.
Ramya Venkaturi.
Shri Narahari.
Prathusha Devaluru.
Wheaton Trekaden.
Harris Mosin.
Muhammad Amin Hamani.
Nina Athanasova.
Stephen Petrus.
Evan Fritz.
Elena Kapoor.
Pratimesh Jadhav.
Brett Gimpa.
Nicholas Braden.
Young Ma.
Patrick Ford.
Joseph Litke.
Kyle Melnick.
Valentine Koch.
Elizabeth Smith Mullins.
Matthew Romzek.
Quinton Prokopets.
Tyler Scarcella.
Romario Butris.
Alexander Cavalier.
Patrick McGarry.
Bridge Datta.
Brandon Bryant.
Jawan Davis.
Michael Johnson.
Alexandra Fernez.
Ryan DeCook.
Zane D'Souza.
Hussein Taj Mahal.
Brooke Scott.
Online MBA.
Ashley O'Brien.
Steve Bowman.
Nick Robinson.
DK Kim.
Keith Belovich.
Pravina Challa.
Todd Scaminace.
Anujin Dumbe.
Brian Perilla.
Ashley Backus.
Harshita Achakala.
Julie Kadokar.
Harris Jamil.
Yashi Soleti.
Karina Chadwani.
Yash Mehta.
Mike Dunn.
Jamie Francis.
Jesse Gagne.
Jonathan Watson.
Meredith Brockman.
Alex Laporte.
Hudson Ressler.
Katie Maloney.
Haley Fossen.
John Robigo.
Paul DeBlasi.
Stephen Redford.
Dr. Aaron Willis.
Melissa Luther.
Jeff Lee.
Hui Bo.
Colin Putz.
Jamana Sade.
Inameka Odo.
Priyanka Sanavi.
Sneha Kamdar.
Anju Jimenez.
Jacob Marcotte.
Sean Miller.
Lexi Eric.
Bryce Masterson.
Andrew Friedman.
Christy Nguyen.
Yashraj Sahasrabodha.
Cullen Brophy.
Alexander Van Ash.
David Denton.
Finling Yu.
Shantunu Paul.
Brian Kesters.
Chris Bowman.
Duncan Smith.
Jeffrey Hamath.
Charles Soon.
Megan Hallendahl.
Stephen Ong.
Rick Simon.
Jeffrey Rickert.
Stephen Kim.
Ansul Mehta.
Nazish Sheikh.
Lindsay Alvarez.
Jeremy Evans.
Chris Corbett.
Stefan Park.
Samarth Solanki.
Christina Smithy.
Victor Niahare.
Sean Rakathan.
Brian Kessler.
James Weddington.
Ryan Bossi.
Maximiliano Spamitano.
Brandon Stein.
Dustin Engo.
Rachel Meschenslager.
Kimberly Urson.
Mauricio Andrade.
Chip Cope. Mark Calendine.
Wenli Bao.
Full-time MBA Section 1. Armani Guerra.
Henry, Mr. Worldwide Song.
Felipe Bravo.
Chelsea Giller.
Zubin Pinkham.
Bansal Shah.
Umang Raizada.
Kushagra Saxena.
Ivan Barrueta.
Jack May.
Natalia Abib.
Marina Balasanian.
Brendan Miller.
Divyam Tiwari.
Esli Goulet.
Ryan Lin.
Mohika Rastogi.
Shunsuke Uno.
Kohei Shima.
Maria Hernandez.
Fernando Reyes.
Jacqueline Hayes.
Stephanie McQuaid.
Daisha DK.
Brian Dixon.
Samuel Whitman.
Danielle Poland.
Nikel Sylvain.
Marcus Mesirlian.
Philip Peterson.
Sarika Mahimkar.
Likita Namiredi.
Shruti My Girl Prasad.
Tarundeep Gill.
Tosin My Boy Lawal.
Mackenzie King.
Melissa Carroll.
Emily from Windsor Zakor.
Diane What's for Diana Jen.
Jesse Johnson.
Steve Fisher.
Shogo Shimada.
Kevin Rainier Aroshi Harefa.
Azara Ali.
Alexis Black.
Angela Tejada.
Catherine Lin.
Bohwei Wong.
Ginny Kim.
Nate Fisher.
James Curson.
John Jack Cushing.
Maria La Regina da Silva.
Gitansh Kohli.
Kyle Yen.
Sunny Huang.
Tanya Lohia. Chloe ABG Pham.
Pravalika Mide.
Alyssa Dom.
Anmol Srivastava.
Uzachi Nuoko.
Colton Abbott.
Maximilian Wagner.
Balark Chetan.
Vinayak Monica Vasakom.
Deepak Kumar Goyal.
Aishu Gadalapati.
Michelle Shi.
Pritu Verma.
Peter Fei Pang Fan.
Section 1 President Viraj Prashant Shah.
Grammy nominee Brian Vu.
Matthew Walsh.
Jacqueline Barraza.
John Pisano.
Terry Winston.
Bernardo Ferreira.
Glenn Goist.
Shavi Lohia.
Omar Abada.
Suhaib Abdulhay.
Devar Jones.
Nikita Paturu.
Yibo Hu.
Nicolette Cook.
Saloni Patni.
Jasmine Aurora.
Felipe Saab Furtado.
Gunnar Maples.
Yes. Charlie Rosenthal.
Chris Legazzo.
Tyler Jensen.
Jordan Keel.
Natalie Ricklifs.
Katie Corbett.
Molly Lyons.
Chinmay Agarwal.
Tejas Kandekar.
Alex Besert.
Luis Velez Conejo.
Augustine Gonzalez.
Kamia Hargis.
Rajul Jain.
Ridhima Carla.
Ellie Mutom.
Courtney Buckner.
Sana Kaliampur.
Tega Alake.
Taryn Milbourne.
Ashley Williams.
Ida Teklamariam.
Rahul Narayan.
Akom Atuk.
Aaron Trey Baby Slater.
Abhishek Gupta.
Katie Catherine Mahler.
Saib Hussain.
Julian Yuan.
Emma Chen.
Helene Ho. I got it.
Gayun Kim.
Tracy Gao.
Cheryl Sheehan.
Rakshit Goel.
Daksh Mittal.
Ifosa Omorage.
Shreya Subramaniam.
Adrian Doe.
Chunyu Yang.
Michelle Yon.
Frank Zhang.
Timmy Anki Lee.
Dylan Clancy.
Maya Ambati.
Amrita Gandhi.
Shivani Captain Kohei.
Arsh Anand.
Arjun Meyer.
Danielle Sakin.
Gregory de Tournemire.
Kohei Takahashi.
Top Chakkuikul.
James Durham Sorensen.
Nick Wycamp.
Ben Boyk.
Stephen Vogrich.
Nelson Engel. Jack Baird.
The esteemed gentleman, Chris Town.
Full-time MBA, Section 3. Sean Ogden.
Argya Harish Sadamro.
Taylor Plecker.
Eben Daniel.
Philip Chu.
Renew Munka.
Nate O'Sullivan.
Shane Dubord.
Matthew Commenti Carmen.
Dario Garcia.
Maitli Kanthi.
Alexandra Maxwell.
Navjeet Gurgla.
Ranik Kukreja.
Suhadvini Kanuthula.
Archik Rajay.
Nachikath Ramesh.
Rushna Bojanki.
Blake Bengston.
Shell Redpath.
Arjun Malhotra.
Siwei Zhang. Amalia Sakar Pratiwi.
Sri Lakshmi Balakrishnan.
Jiyoung Bong.
Jada Bent Thomas.
Janelle Weatherly.
Paula Longoria.
Eva Trailer.
Agustin Martinez.
Gustavo Gonzalez Bear.
Christian Ligardo.
Shreyas Nagaraj.
Unhe Lee.
Vaibhav Gupta.
Thomas Renas.
Nevin Vatadi.
Colin D'Antonio.
Tatiana Potter.
Eli Bernstein.
Mark Samar.
Lucas Iplinski.
Miranda Ming.
Amandeep St. Josh.
Alex Nappy.
Stefan Edmiston.
Ron Demerson.
Kenny Barraway.
Niranjana Ventakaranaman.
Pavan Prativada.
Charmaine Tan.
Bharath Natarajan.
Abba Banu.
Rachel Schulingkamp.
Shreya Jain.
Jaewon Kim.
Prakriti Pari.
Bill Dillon.
Counselor Breezy Adams.
Naya Wang.
Shunyi Shen.
Hank Ho.
Kimi Orishile.
Ibrahim Shardo.
Sylvia Perkovich.
Jeffrey Wang.
Anino Oratisajafor.
Lakshmi Narayan Srivachan.
Shimin Wang.
Yingying Yi.
Gun Lakdi.
Shruti Subramanian.
First.
Cody Pepper.
Section 3 President Jude Mabone.
Your card. There you go. Section 4.
Ladies and gentlemen, moment of silence for the best section of full-time MBA program, Section 4!
Woo! The recipient of the Ross Global Citizen of the Year, Shafiq Issa.
Abram Curry.
Dante Scott.
Jasmine Lopez.
No. Jeff Tenza.
Rashun Katie.
Ryan Breen.
Soha Vaziri.
Ivy Lee.
Janu Jusoval.
Aishwarya Raja.
Ashwin Sharma.
Sanchit Agarwal.
Devin Thompson.
Shivani Shah.
Kavya Vinkutesan.
Priya Melon.
Musi Wang.
Michael Kirk.
Staff Cusick.
Ross McQuaid.
Kituri Mapodadawi.
Sungyoon Ko.
Yuxuan Kin.
Katie Geyer.
James Reed.
Kelsey Williams.
Serena Ahuja.
Shu Kurihara.
Hyosun Koshirishi.
Miles Turner.
Molly Nagel.
Bruno Ferry de Morris.
Clayton Connell.
Kaya Martins.
Carolina Fernandez. General Kyle Joyce.
Jake Laidman.
Henry Leong.
Ajay Yiliswaro.
Dan Kim.
Aditya Jagadish.
The iconic Colleen Heaney.
No, not yet, not yet. Not yet, not yet. Still more people to go.
General Max Allmeyer.
John Cliver.
Tiara Julian.
Jorian Javier Riviera.
Michael Vu.
Masa Javadi.
Halu Bushuda Holaitui. Daniel Maduka.
Eva Ogadu.
Tonya Sofolike.
Ogogasa Ibina Weka.
Teresa Sonita.
Jim D'Amelia.
Hannah Zhao.
Rongjae Tong.
Mason Chun.
Gabrielle Pierre.
Fabio Ramirez.
Harjap Singh Grover.
Deepak Bhaskran.
Palvi Bardwaj.
Laura Frazee Suntang.
Samyukta Srinivasan.
Connor Moore.
Sam Newman.
Jason Alcott.
Maddie Woolsey.
Emily Afric.
The incomparable Brian Park.
Once again, the iconic Colleen Heaney. Full-time MBA, Section 5. Richie Ortman.
Amar Prakesh.
Sahil Kotarti.
Darren Christie. Oops.
Dewaki Demal.
Tom Saylor.
Annie Zan.
Oseriton Wangbaiki.
Bailey Ether.
Isaiah Filstrom.
Khalil Jackson.
Daniel Teneo.
Joseph Ewer.
Alejandra Bravo Mendez.
Akanksha Vijay Wahazi.
Janelle Luntour.
Jocelyn May.
Justin Johnson.
Cindy Claudia.
Munsu Kim.
Sodrio Ramos.
Paul Zavel.
Benjamin Rogers.
Blake Williams.
Mitchell Howard.
Miguel Avendano Duran.
Simon Velez Halabado.
John Minahan.
Alejandra Panang. Ooh, sorry. Andrea Teresa.
Simona Jano.
Noah Eaton Kim.
Sammy Carlson.
Priya Suresh.
Varun Unwasi.
Elon Lin.
Tejo Patel.
Radhika Honda.
Rebecca Macy's.
Haritha Donamali.
Teddy Lim.
Shinya Kawata.
Masashi Nishiruma.
Ting Chun Lin.
James Pasola.
Hijung Selena Jung.
Rundi Siregari.
Jason Lee.
Brittany Barnes.
Meta Aini.
Sarah Wright.
Elena Helmers Wegum.
Nicole Coelho.
Shivangi Sarvasta.
Nivita Mahabashaliti.
Ayush Verma.
Kevin Diaz.
Thierry Aditya Sadeti.
Manyang Goyal.
Madhav Sankar.
Winter Elizabeth Kyle Brooks.
Dominique Felicia Gill.
Takudaswa Muradlavu.
Samya Bora.
Pranav Bondala. Sharia Goyal. Debbie Chen.
Yvonne B.
Sibadi Pradnan.
Samuel Kobroksky.
Timothy Tang.
Jacob Zhu.
Amita Shonikin.
Sonia Berger.
Masters of Supply Chain Management. Drishti Narang.
Savannah Long.
Anusha Bose.
Kennedy Wade.
Alia Sanchez.
Rasul Rahman.
Jashli Roland.
David Gazarian.
Fani Krishna Sai Namala.
Ahmed Shraim.
Neha Anil Kumar.
Kushi Kapoor.
David Gazarian.
Abdul Jabbar Aruhali.
Tejasvi Srirama.
Aishwarya Katakar.
Zeyuan Fu.
CG Chen.
Mazen Ur Rahman.
Jahang Lee.
Sarvagya Harbhajanka.
Rajat Raj Ajmera.
Janshrit Trivedi.
Lakshya Agarwal.
Tanisha Bajaj.
Sonyan Kwang.
Shivan Padmanabhan.
Randy Kumonye.
Medha Sharma.
Nakamang Nantisak.
Pankaj Shahane.
Alban Bruyas.
Hannah Park.
Mira Chopra.
Alexander Elliott.
Zach Vikevicius.
Reese Stimson.
Jungsu Lee.
Val Zark.
Vani Dogra.
Ritika Shankaraman.
Neha Satish Kumar.
Jack Queller.
Yuri Zhou.
Jishin Wang. Vivian Zhang.
Vera Xu.
Colin Chen.
Weitong Huang.
Prerna Sinha.
Joshua Ifros.
Rohan Ghosh.
Shubham Mishra.
Fangwan Sophie Wang.
Sanuth Rao.
Harika Gudivi Reddy Gari.
Claire Adams.
Alisa Vantimeran.
Bogan Cook.
Dimitri Dan Uko.
Claire Chen.
Elena Sung.
Yenchen Lin.
Liang Huang. Our ice skating queen, Alison Chen.
Our favorite class treasurer, Trishita Day.
Masters of Management. Akila Andeshwari Balakshrinan.
Arushi Ramesh.
Rimas Yan.
Rosie Lee.
Alyssa Sun.
Abby Gregg.
Daniel Silva.
Marley Saxner.
Spencer Cowley.
Tom Van Den Bulk.
Suhasini Iyer.
Andrew Reno.
Caleb Lipkin.
Hadra Alam.
Zain Ahmad.
Zen Lee.
Sebastian Park.
Madison Cochran.
Jess Keckle.
Gabrielle Zubriski.
Sarah Wong.
Amanda Campo.
Deborah Marip.
Jaden Turner.
Ricardo Villarreal.
Zachary Farrell.
Jacob George.
Jackson Buchan.
Peter Colwell.
Kate Klasa.
Megan Keller.
Manav Khatar.
Ashley Dixon.
Sanjay Ramasamy.
Anmal Patel Anmal.
Anna Mensch.
Jane McGovern.
Rachel Palian.
Rima Sahid.
Tim Walknick.
Noah Gadola.
Alexis Turbush.
Molly Beecham.
Anastasia Papagiorgio.
Clara Prideaux.
Kylan Moody.
Kelsey Keenan.
Sandy Hall.
Audrey Yanchik.
Caroline Schwartz.
Ella Hopt.
Emily Roberts.
Hannah Singh.
Keely McLeod.
Cameron A. Henry.
Aaron O'Grady.
Carly Bowman.
Diego Statello.
Cole Selman.
Claire Taylor.
Stephen Lukasik.
Levon Gibson.
Jabril Kershadon.
Lauren Streffling.
Maxwell Schubel.
Adam Tenori.
Ali Atui.
Jacob Flaherty.
Jin Yu.
Radhika Diplip Saban Bambuewala.
John Volker.
Karis Henderson.
Samantha Miller.
Madison Copus.
Kendra Fairshedian.
Hadley Elsesser.
Riley Chappell.
Tara Raouf.
Avery Salison.
Eve Waldhauser.
Charlotte DeSantos.
Drew Frendel.
Emma Wirt.
Jonathan Seifert.
Max Bergita.
James Barnes.
Jacob Kerner.
Oliver Zeisy Siegel.
Benjamin Reynolds.
Samuel Hart. Shihab Sharier.
Allison Karpovich.
Lizzie Rose.
Jackson Armstrong.
Braden Patterson.
Claire Nicole Jones.
Chloe Oshner.
Layla Malecki.
Hanan Huck.
Abdul Allah Ibrahim.
Mehal Narwal.
Recipient of the Outstanding Leadership Award, Grace Agubi.
And our MM President, Carter Owen Van Erp.
Are we ready?
Which hand do we grab with? Yeah.
Okay. What's up, Ross? Presenting to you the OIM Soccer Champions.
And the best OIM cohort.
Masters of Business Analytics. Jessica Asusena.
Annalise Ferguson.
Owen Swisher.
Molly Myers.
Tony Tang.
Xian Cheng.
Yuan Wen.
Maxwell Moore.
Alexander Santalone.
Timothy Nicholson.
Luke Zana.
Carla Carayan Alicia.
Gemma Wu.
Adam Caribbean.
Kate Poland.
Yangtze Liu.
Jai Lee.
Tommy Winemko.
Alexander Hecker.
Yvonne Rendondo.
Diana Rapp.
Bartu Gayak.
Maya Snyder.
Rahin Jahin.
Himaja Reddy Kandati.
Esbeda Garcia.
Spurti Jayadeva.
Yiting Cao.
Jake Block.
Dennis Zhao.
Terry Tian Junchi.
Nicholas Rose.
Vincent Vaughn.
Benjamin Shao Freitas.
Michelangelo Ziola.
Whitney Zhang.
Suhas Punya.
Rohan Rangesh.
Yash Nagal.
Yu Yuang.
Tahira Khan.
Pratik Kotari.
Ayan Aziza Haq.
Anuj Garg.
Naisha Kara.
Jim Zhang.
Yihuswan Chen. And the recipient of the Student Leadership Exchange, Mia Hodges.
And class president, Lakvir Singh Sohal.
University of Michigan Masters of Accounting, the best accountants in the world. Starting off with Murray Dul Agrawal.
Tyler Savoy.
Albie Leela.
Garrett Draper.
Meadow Whitney.
Abigail Hoffman.
Logan Gonzalez.
Timothy Burgess.
Adam Romanov.
Mingi Wu.
Thomas Gates.
Joshine Lee.
Molly Watsa.
Sophia Baugh.
Cece Liang.
Adrian Paragoff.
Ian Bodia.
William Barr.
Danlin Zhao.
Esther Horges.
Natalie Parker.
Zachary Staza.
Lydia Woolleyette.
Alexandra Golden.
Angel Padilla.
William Shannon.
Ben Slazinski.
Evan Reimer.
Adam Cohen.
Jasleen Graywall.
Madison Solenstein.
Jaya Daliwal.
Caroline Powell.
Raisha Sheth.
Ashley Weekly.
Margaret Grace Martin.
Shri Concha Gontobonia.
Helm Bernal.
Aaron McGlade.
Sophie Luby.
Tianyi Yiwen.
Yan An Chen.
Becky Han.
Hattie Guan.
Nate Kelly.
Dylan White.
Samuel Wank.
Keaton Cuneo.
Munim Afridi.
Henry Chen.
Vaibhav Kolia.
Hediong Lee.
Angela Kim.
Hannah Toranyemi.
Xiaofei Lu.
Sarah Klingon.
Alisa Xiangfeng Wang.
Han Ding.
Kishan Long.
Jingyi Ning.
Zhuangtong Chen.
Sion Wang.
Zhang Yi Wang.
Andrea Wang.
Harrison Yang.
Jocelyn Liu.
Fiona Fu.
Philo Wang.
Yilin Yao.
David Bian.
Kirsten May.
Layla Zara.
Gaia Sirhan.
Kevin Liu.
Mushi Liu.
Stanley Keith.
Zachary Pryor.
Introducing the best and the brightest.
The BBA class of 2026.
Let's get this party started.
Gavin Azar.
Zachary Carr.
Asa Randall.
Nicholas Farewell.
Isaac Wei.
Claire Hong.
Aria Goel.
Anjun Shu.
Giovanna Santos.
Layla Wingham.
Logan Kayenlu LaForge.
Mark Mita.
Luke Apap.
Gabriel Lynch.
Ari Douglas.
Neve Vidine.
Delaney Brown.
Sophie Edelman.
Blaze Potras.
Alice Lee.
Angel Hugh.
Lindsay Vondel.
Newman Miglani.
Shraji Paddy.
Kirkland Shashowski.
Grant Haast.
Jackson Murray.
Max Edelheit.
Logan Edelheit.
Ryan Schaefer.
Jacob McKelvey.
Brendan Lampert.
Danny Bitar.
Nicholas Long.
Kira Hall.
Elizabeth Camilli.
Rebecca Cook.
Arushi Tawar.
Robert Yang.
Harvey Van Burkham.
Paige Atkinson.
Aiden Blue.
Annika Gill.
Nicholas Robbins.
Anton Ford.
Dimitri Sitaris.
Camila Escobar Andrade.
Sarah Hamadan.
Ada Trowbridge.
Sabina Verdian.
Maria Papp.
Hannah Kim.
Robert Huang.
Gabby Quinto.
Cole Rembrandt.
Caden Murphy.
Jordan Broch.
Thomas Kavanaugh.
Carmen Dudley.
Micah Brooks.
Charlotte Werner.
Eleanor Thompson.
Elle Ruckham.
Lexi Rosenworcer.
Elizabeth Weingard.
Adrian Edwards.
Van Crawford.
Robert Noel.
Greta Gamazel.
Paige Davis.
Jason Joa.
Juliet Abarca.
Sophia Pink.
Ava Narji.
Ella Breslowski.
Kaylin Tazi.
Emily Ryan.
Michelle Yang.
Veronica Schlotzka.
Peyton Gemati.
Chanel Wilson.
And Angelina Aktish.
Adib Alexander.
Jack Trench.
Noah Alexander.
Sajni Patel.
Mia Delabar.
Elizabeth Tracy.
Andres Illanes.
Brevin Shernet.
Ari Harris.
Ethan Marcus.
Nicholas Shakasa. There it goes.
Aditya Gaba.
Cameron Lee.
Ethan Saul.
Omar Youssef.
Mateo Bayer.
Chandler Bailey.
Jacob Handler.
Zachary Frank.
Logan Pams.
Brandon Kang.
Kobe Brown.
Matthew Pale.
Madeline Landsberg.
Jolie Taub.
Samantha Kleeman.
Maggie Gates.
Amelia Danley.
Roger Z.
Nicholas Jones.
Dylan Brown.
Augustus Hawk.
Marco Gilio.
Raymond Sturgill.
Matthew McCauley.
Matt Reed.
Isabella Alonso.
Tarun Tagarala.
Raquel Senkuti.
Isha Patel.
Nelly Segamoto.
Yejin Kang.
Selfie Fan.
Moyu Leo.
Kaya Brown.
Melissa Orduna.
Lily Clapper.
Callie Burrell.
Samantha Suplee.
Sierra Sargent.
Alex Gilbert.
Stone Lee.
Kareem Kudo.
Arian Gupta.
William Jean Harper III.
Isabel Aduyu.
Tina Tran.
Andrew Pham.
Dylan Mark.
Lahare Kolearu.
Asa Gupta.
Deja Unmin.
Ria Nurayun.
Claire Spindler.
Peyton Mayeroff.
Ria Matal.
Daniel Saltzman.
Benjamin Huyulit.
Anna Sohn.
Maylin Wu.
Elizabeth Neifert.
Grace Tai.
Srija Vemulakoda.
Robert Plummacher.
Sam Huntley.
Hannah Maslevetsky.
Layra Shrine.
Benjamin Summers.
John Beck Smolak.
Claire Ramsdell.
Harani Shankar. Busy Webb.
Carly Peterman.
Alexander Wang.
Yush Singh V.
Aryan Gowda.
Kishov Shiran.
Urun Kodimuru.
Ashton Glenn.
Ty Esterline.
Mark Metzler.
Nicholas Panino.
Aruth Nadash.
Gavin Schwartz.
Lucas Miller.
Zach Mohammed.
Max Reyes.
Jimmy Rolder.
Noah Howes.
Jonathan Tunney.
Emma Ezrine.
Kate Rassin.
Alexandra Kugelmas.
Sydney Sung.
Lauren Sung.
Ria Patel.
Ella Persma.
Mary Wells.
Claudia Rovenzo.
Adam Savageau.
Michael Emerman.
Jonathan Rivas.
James Clinton.
Mark Berglund.
Robert Wolson.
Apil Sanyashi.
Grant Kovacs.
Leo Leone.
Eva Coomer.
Ilakia Rajaguru.
Zafar Makir Aga.
Pra Pant.
Amari Tin.
Min Suk Kim.
Patrick Lee.
Jessica Tran.
Azra Takovich.
Sophie Richards.
Arya Joe.
Julia Jong.
Athena Zhuang.
Allison Lee.
Eli Miller.
Lucy Catherine Gold.
Isabella Carlino.
Tiffany Sang.
Vivica Henry.
Maida Moroju.
Shreya Varagabhumi.
Palak Rakani.
Shruti Sevangun.
Sharanya Swaminathan.
Shara Kadi.
Ria Gone.
Lashya Vadrevu.
Rishika Niole.
Chaya Regun Nazda.
Colin Brown.
Joe Reeves.
Elena LaChance.
Catherine Russell.
Caroline Russell.
Premanshi Agarwala.
Nisha Ray.
Veduthi Narla.
Shri Gogula Moody.
Elena Newton.
Alicia Srinivasan.
Seri Padit Padit.
Catherine Lee.
Bryant Taylor.
Nathan Hoffman.
Ambarish Patel.
Gemma Ugorowski.
Megan Bars.
Donica Jewell.
Grace O'Day.
Carter Dvorak. Your card.
All right.
Bergen Johnson.
Jackson Borowski.
Cole Evans.
John Skudzinski.
Jackson Phillip.
Thomas Carlsing.
Maximiliano Munoz.
Anthony Taher.
Marcelo Andreno.
Lauren St. Andre.
Avery Bowman.
Zach Post.
Noah Yeager.
Max Alter.
Tiffany Zhang.
Hey, Elika Dinesh.
Mayla Macheski.
Ashley, congratulations. Ashley Napier.
Haley Vinkney.
Meredith Brennan.
Peyton Griffith.
Annika Chinayan.
Remy Dole.
Hi, Marianne. Amolia Charumala.
Maria Van Deren.
Melissa Watkins.
Jayla Taylor Pickett.
Kendallin Martin.
Justin Florimont.
Congrats. Bryce Zampty Hicks.
Evan Boyd.
Marvin Teta.
Maya Wallace.
Mariah Staples.
Chandler Ramsey.
Lachlan Ortman.
Brooklyn Luscombe.
Gila Schechter.
Andrew Tuckle.
Ashley Kurzweilen.
Juliana Ross.
Sydney Bennett.
Samantha Desmond.
Molly Fisher.
Carolyn O'Brien.
Shasha Farber.
Olivia Burke.
Dylan John Finnegan.
Annika Verma.
Lisa Vushai.
Catherine Meckel.
Ava Jarami.
Viraj Bujaya.
Kurtim Shah.
Vijesh Dundunie.
Daniel Strick.
Ferris Sharba.
John Wang.
Matthew Green.
Rahul Reddy.
Ashley Chow.
Anna Clusens.
Brianna Boyd.
Timothy Person.
Sean Krith Chandru.
Isabel Heyman.
Brianna Beringer.
Smiley Chunduru.
Talia Albert.
Hannah Levy.
Lucas McNamara.
Seth Schellenbarder.
George Perkins.
Colin Barrett.
Aaron Shesky.
Shravanth Mala. Oh, boy.
Vivash Chunduri.
Pleasure. Raghav Cholapati. Peter.
Sumi Khan.
Peter Waddy.
Christian Thomas.
Congratulations. Nanda Morali.
Claire Guo.
Shreyul Patel.
John Jack Gordon.
Jonathan Coe.
Dylan Marshalse.
Triumph Gafosian.
Kylie Silva.
Hector Benitez Ventura.
Jimin Lee.
Congratulations, Isabella. Isabella Eidelstein.
Sumita Urakawa.
Isha Desai.
Paula Alejo Garza.
Madeline Namey.
Ria Punjabi.
Nina Miloy Victia.
Funtana Purushal Thadman.
Malak Samaha.
Desi Burns.
Congratulations. Ali Capere.
Josephine Kubiak.
Alex Sayre.
Adam Blackman.
Congratulations. Ryan Spiegel.
Maxwell Gorn.
Drew Speaks.
Eduardo Halfen.
Daniel Zalik. I'll take it.
Grace Varghese.
Oh, we read yours. The Vice President of the BBA Council, Carlos Hufnagel.
My Chief of Staff and Ross Global Citizen Award winner, Peter Poligreco.
Paige Horneck.
Brooke Leisenbring.
Mani Carsons.
Danielle E. Wang.
Quinn Kassar.
Dylan Kurtz.
Andrew Nathan.
Richard Zhao.
Kyle Liu.
Hannah Kim.
Nina Muse.
Daniel E. J. Austin.
Nico Pasquariello.
Joshua George.
Evan Morlock.
Martin Grinnell.
Om Patel.
Ryan Carvajal.
Grace Hart.
Isabella Pimentel.
Rutvik Parikh.
Nathan Lynn.
Luke Nielsen.
Garrett Thorne.
Nick Redmond.
Dhruti Mitor.
Narav Patel.
Victoria Ivanov Zvetkov.
Layla Keselman.
Conley Ray Walwyn-Rovan.
Carter Barksdale.
Navya Navs Shankar.
Michael Huaka.
Priya Guda.
Helen Yang.
Anna Langeman.
Ben Pritchard.
Lucas Irodikanal.
Kayla Noga.
Allison Sway.
Eugen Kim.
Shimra Kalar.
Unkita Kumar.
Daniel Lin.
Alex Zhang.
Anushka Jha.
Daniela Taylor.
Navya Maka.
Zoe Chang.
Anna Howick.
Caitlin Rogala.
Jillian Sytrak.
Teresa Lin.
Michael Tengler.
Ankish Gautam.
Amelie Kamen.
John Camden Finazzo.
Priya Rao.
Kevin Payne.
Noelle Kathleen Powers.
Elisa Rinaldo.
Maggie He.
Trinity Henderson.
Jennifer Davis.
Deborah Abudurin.
Shravini Totipata.
Amaya Allen.
Amrita Chitapru.
Zizi Zhang.
Sage Speakman.
Shayna Goldberg.
Alexis Farman.
Sydney Gaynor.
Mackenzie Boren.
Julia Garlick.
Isabel Lang.
Camilla Mora.
Anisha Ramachandra.
Eric Chow.
Anna Naya Gandhi.
Elise Shaw.
Alexander Croissant Weinberg.
Benjamin Cohen.
Spencer Newman.
Matthew Najat.
Ryan Negri.
Bobby Ziff.
Hannah Toomey.
Victoria Van Werkam.
Emma Gordon.
Israt Alam.
Salma Bohariya.
Mariam Hakam.
Angela Wu.
Mohammed Saban Abi.
Yuki Fujita.
Jack Nelson.
Joey Suter.
Aiden Bradley.
David Chen.
Mateen Secondary.
Ishika Gupta.
Laura Girard.
Alexander Moon.
Condoleezza Zhang.
Yuki Shu.
Marnu Brendan Adelaide.
Safa Salman.
Asma Ba.
Bisbee star Matthew Brown.
Bisbee co-founder Grace Varghese.
The incredible Caleb Matkovich.
Samir Ked.
Jordan Dong. Nacho Garcia.
Valentin Munoz Legere.
Geronimo Pedavia.
Colin Kruger.
Aria Padier.
Sonia Gupta.
Aria Samant.
Jordan Hall.
Cameron Long.
Alana Golden.
Lauren Chang.
Spencer Newton.
Paris Rogers.
Caroline Lynch.
Lauren Allen.
Asia House.
Naya Hewitt.
Elisa Lieberman.
Shreya Bhargava.
Munusvi Mate.
Arman Verma.
Rahul Nutalapi.
Kirta Kampali.
Khalid Hamdan,
Noful Raza,
William Shao,
Christopher Owens,
and our own Michael Adeyemi,
Jose De Silva,
Devin Kralzik,
John Udani Jr.,
Jonah Hurley,
Axel Alvarez,
Justin Nazarko,
Evan Hebriard,
Gregory Rice,
Pranav Kupuswamy,
Matthew Pereira,
Zachary Singer,
Andres Tortorella Lopez,
Asher Larko,
our incredible Nicholas Cassidy,
Zachary Almushi,
Hayden Watskin,
Nate Cohen,
Britt Von Antwerp,
Ethan Pollock,
Alana Gottlieb,
Ella Kaplan,
Alexandra Sin,
Kara Cha,
Oliver Sohn,
Abhiram Vangapandu,
Dhruv Kumar,
Sahil Budurdin,
Bill Wu,
Havesh Kohli,
Aryan Batra,
Varun Vangamala,
Pranil Piarsetti,
Zachary Makowski,
and Raymond Hashem,
Emilio Temeo,
Tyler Ray, Ozan Califat,
Logan Zucker,
Hayden Conrad,
Maya Song,
Pranavi Pallava Rapo,
Jessica Chian,
Ruthie Yu,
Jing Lee,
Helen Chin,
Cece Stein,
Taylor Cullen,
Andrew Sesti,
Caleb Jaritha,
Hudson Shantz,
William Fenton,
Theo Gardwise,
Charlotte Mustin,
Cassidy Palazzo,
Abigail Lucchesi,
Kira Santana,
Nicholas Newberry,
Dylan Heron,
Zach ZK Kramer,
Dylan Morningstar,
Jimmy Cohen, Solomon Sion,
Regan Dietz,
oh yeah baby, Sterling Cook,
Akshay Mehta,
Connor McDonald,
Evan Matsuda,
Vishuthi Patel,
Natalia Rack,
Krish Kumar,
Daphne Fabra,
Liam Berger,
Wansu Sun,
Mahun Lee,
Yasim Elroun,
Murad Darad Shahzada,
Cyrus Patel,
Zain Aziza,
Samuel Ebri,
Consheng Zhang,
Eric Lee,
James Penn,
Tari Evans,
Demonic Vinduvin,
Stephen Lohan,
Jordan Eves,
Maithili Banerjee,
and Ryan Mavanya.
And the second to last of this evening, but definitely not least, our one and only Romeo Buette.
And finally, our incredible BBA class president, Nikki Murthy.
Before we walk the stage, we wanted to take a quick moment to say thank you so much to the class of 2026.
For the best 4 years of our life.
Good luck.
Shock the world. And
go blue.
To all of our graduates, on behalf of the entire Michigan Ross community, congratulations. Round of applause. It is our great privilege to officially call you alumni of the Ross School of Business. You are now part of more than 59,000 Ross grads and 695,000 U of M grads living in 181 countries around the globe. And to honor you, I'd like to invite some special guests into the arena. And finally, to close out our ceremony, I'm going to invite Corey, Jiya, and Pavitra back to the podium to lead us in singing Hail to the Victors. And I will ask that after that finishes up, let us proceed out through the exits, and then you can follow us out. So everyone, please stand and take it away, Corey, Jiya, and Pavitra.